right, so we know what enhanced conversions for leads is, but let's now dive into exactly how to set it up. Now it's a two-part process. Let's break it down really simply here. We're going to get a Google Sheet. We're going to make sure it automatically updates with hashed user data or encrypted user data for leads when they become qualified or converted, right? You decide. Then we're going to create an offline conversion action in Google Ads and make sure it takes that information from the sheet every single day. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to run you through an example using Go High Level. So let's go from the top. We're going to start by capturing and hashing user data in a Google Sheet. Then we're going to create an offline conversion action in Google Ads and make sure that it's uploading every single day. So the first part of capturing and hashing that user data is to set up an automation using Zapier. So in Zapier, I'm going to go ahead and create a new Zap. And the first step of this, the trigger, is going to be a webhook, right? And this is actually going to be a catch hook because this is going to receive the information that we're sending from Go High Level. So if I hit continue there, I actually get a URL which is going to receive the info. Now bringing us over to Go High Level, I've built an automation here that's a trigger that says when the pipeline stage is changed for a given user, i.e. when they go from just like a lead to a scheduled lead or a scheduled appointment, then the next step is to take the webhook, post in that information to the URL, right? So that is the URL that I just got from Zapier. And I can go ahead and save that and hit save, and I've named it accordingly as well. So now if I come over to my pipeline in the opportunities section within Go High Level, you notice that I've got myself as a lead here. So because I built the automation that if I move myself here from one stage in the pipeline to another, it should trigger some information and send that to Zapier. So I'm just going to do that right now, put myself into this follow-up stage, and let's see if Zapier got that information. So I can come over here and hit test trigger and notice that it has found a record which is Oliver Pestalozzi, all of my details, and basically it has seen that I've even been put into the pipeline stage, follow-ups, add task. So that's great news. That means we can progress. Now coming back here quickly, what we need to do now is filter that automation to actually only occur if the user is put into a scheduled appointment stage. So we don't care about all the other stages because this offline conversion tracking that I'm building right now is for those who actually booked in an appointment, i.e. qualified leads. So the next step in Zapier then is going to be a filter, and I'm going to set this up to only continue if the pipeline stage starts with scheduled, and that's because I know there's only 3 stages that start with scheduled, and I want to catch all 3 of them because they're all scheduling 3 different types of appointments. Now notice it says it didn't capture this task. All right, so based on the action I did before, it wouldn't continue, and that's actually correct because if you remember, I put myself into this follow-up stage. So if I put myself back into a scheduled appointment stage, that change right there should have gone over to Zapier. If I come here and we go to the test section, I might go find new records. It should find that new record. There it is, request B, of me actually going into the new stage in the pipeline. So I'm going to continue with that one. And what you'll see is that now it should actually, if I go retest, it's identified that I moved it into a scheduled appointment stage in the pipeline. I can go ahead and hit continue. The next thing I need to do is format the date and time correctly for Google's requirements. Now I'm going to link this down below, but this is essentially the exact format for date, time, and even time zone that Google will take. So you just need to make sure that your data is being formatted correctly so that when it goes into the spreadsheet, it's in a format that Google can read. So specifically for me in Zapier, what I need to do is go formatter, and I'm going to format the date and time and hit continue. I'm going to transform the format. I'm going to take the value here specifically for date created, and I just want to put it into the format that Google's going to understand, which would be this one in my case, and I'm going to make sure that the time zone is America/Chicago because that's where the client is actually based. We can test that again. It's going to change the format of the date and time, which is perfect. That's exactly what I need. So the final step is to actually automate that data entry and put it into a Google Sheet, right? Now we need to also make sure that the auto hash function is activated. Lucky for you, I've actually provided a template which you can click down below. So when you click the link to the template, it's going to take you here. You can go ahead and click make a copy. Now I have provided some instructions up the top for what to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the data is auto hashed. So in this template I've given you, if you go to extensions and apps script, there is already an auto hash feature in here that I've built in with all the code needed. All you have to do is actually set it up to trigger. So if you go to triggers, so what we need to do is come into the add trigger section, and we're going to make sure that it's selected on auto hash, and the event type is going to be on change. If I do on edit, the automated way of adding new rows via Zapier actually isn't going to trigger the hashing unless you come in and do a manual change or a manual edit. It's a bit of a technicality, but I would just recommend putting it onto on change. So to show you what that's done, let me give you an example. I'll put my email address in here. And what it should do is actually take that email address, run its little code, there you go, and completely hash the email address. So as I've written here, you need to make sure that you delete the row before uploading it to Google Ads or it won't work properly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll also delete my little test entry there. And now within Zapier, I'm going to make that final step, which is going to be a Google Sheets step. And I'm going to say, create a spreadsheet row. I'm going to make sure that I choose that document that I just made there. And then you can see it's asking me for the specific data points. So it's basically asking me what information do you want to put under each of these headers: email, phone number, conversion name, conversion time. And that's just corresponding directly here: email, phone number, conversion name, conversion time. So it's really cool, this tool actually. So email, this bit's really easy. We're going to go take my email address, phone number. It's going to be my phone number. Now the conversion name, we can't actually enter that yet because we haven't created the conversion action in Google Ads. So we're going to hold off for 1 second before we do that. The conversion time will be the formatted time, right? So the output of the date and time formatter. And we might as well enter the conversion currency, which is going to be USD in this particular case, just so they understand it. So now doing a test from Google Sheets, if I go retest step, what we should see is that it forces a change over to the spreadsheet, which is automatically changed there thanks to the script and the trigger that we just set up. Right? So that's working perfectly exactly as we want it. Notice that it's all hashed, encrypted, exactly what we want. So that's the hard part completely done. Now what we've done is we've set up an automation. We now have a spreadsheet which every time a user is put into a scheduled appointment stage, their details are going to be added to that spreadsheet and encrypted, perfectly ready for Google to then ingest. So coming back to the previous slide where I showed you the process, what we've got is the Google Sheet. We've done number 1, right? We need to now do number 2. So I use Zapier and high level. Your situation might be slightly different. You'll have to find a way to automate it. I do recommend Zapier, but I hope this example has just been helpful to at least see how it can work with one platform or another. So let's dive into steps 2 and 3 here, which are going to go really quickly. So over in Google Ads, we are going to come to conversions or to goals and summary. We're going to create a new conversion action. What I'm going to do then is make sure I've selected conversions offline, and I do want to just add a data source. So I can go connect a new data source. That's going to be, of course, our Google Sheet, and it's a direct connection. I'm going to tick the boxes here and hit done. And we do want to make sure that that's basically on Google Sheets rather than Zapier or something else, because while we're using Zapier, the information is actually coming from Google Sheets, right? It's that daily upload of the sheet that we're looking for. And there are methods where you can send it directly from Zapier. I prefer the Google Sheets option because at any time I can go into that sheet and see a list of hashed names and email addresses. I can see kind of if it's populating, if it's working, whereas if it's directly from Zapier, you don't have that visibility. So I'll go ahead and hit qualified lead and set up my Google Sheets event here. So step 1 is that it links the data source of Google Sheets, which is fantastic. Step 2, I just need to pick a file from my Google Drive. That's going to be the very file you just used. Once you've selected that, wait for it to load, and you can go ahead and hit next. Now what we need to do is just map the fields that we want, right? So email will be email, phone number, it's already found phone number automatically, conversion value is there, currency code, we had conversion currency, conversion time is there, email, phone number, that's everything, right? So I can go ahead and click next. Now this is obviously contingent as well on the fact that we've already set up enhanced conversions, because what it's going to do is it's uploading emails and phone numbers. And we've already set up enhanced conversions in the earlier modules, so then it's going to match that information that we're giving it with the enhanced conversion data that we've already provided it, right? So one thing has to come first, offline conversions come second. Now notice we have the connection name, that's fine. The update schedule is going to run every single day. We've got 5 fields mapped, and we can go ahead and click finish. And once I hit finish, notice that what we're going to have is a new offline conversion qualified lead bit of information here. So if I come in, I do just want to make sure, and you can see we've got the data integration, it's with the Google Sheets, it's fantastic. I do just want to make sure that I edit these settings a little bit. Firstly, I want to change that name. I'm not happy with the name. Gonna make sure that that says scheduled appointment, go high level offline upload, Tyler. Another thing I'm gonna do is just make sure that this is tracking as a secondary action right now so that it's not influencing my bidding decisions and that the bid strategies that are being used in the account, and the rest is all fine as well. We can count every conversion or just one. I often like doing every, and I can go ahead and click done. Just to make sure that the conversion name now is actually being matched correctly with that particular one. Back in Zapier, I'm just gonna make sure that when I configure the data here, conversion name. Now notice if I was to try and look for the conversion name in all this previous stuff going on, it's not gonna be there because that kind of is a later step. So I just have to copy paste that in manually, and that's the only way to ensure that that's what it's gonna be recorded as. Again, I can retest that one more time to make sure it's working. Notice it's added that information in. There's my email address, just been hashed, and the conversion name has now gone through. I might just make this all a little bit easier to read. The conversion name has now gone through as scheduled appointment, GHL offline upload, Tyler. And that's gonna go up, which is absolutely perfect. So where are we at? We've pretty much done it all. We've got the data, we've hashed it, we've created an offline conversion action, we've linked the Google Sheet via a scheduled upload. Now all that's left to do is to publish this Zap, and that's live. Then I've saved this offline conversion tracking upload sheet to my bookmarks in the relevant folder so I can always find it and see if it's working. But that is now going to give me a whole bunch more data where I'll be able to see in Google Ads how many people actually scheduled an appointment, not just became leads. So yeah, that's it for offline conversion tracking. There's a lot to it. I hope that was helpful. As always, feel free to hit me up directly if it wasn't, or if you have any further questions, or post in the group. Speak soon.